Okay, bye-bye.
The part of the river that we've come to now is the shops at River Center Mall, built back in 1988 by the then owner of the San Francisco 49ers, Mr. Eduardo de Barcelo, or Edward de Barcelo, some of you might know. Built this place with over 1 million square feet of malls, not the largest or the fanciest, but it is the only mall in the city with the San Antonio River and its food court. That's where we're at now. Food court as well.
안 갖고 왔어? 선글라스?
No sé.
Luego veo para llevar.
Now, as soon as we pass a little small footbridge up ahead, if I can have everyone take a look over to the right-hand side, using the palm trees, you're going to see this statue of Saint Anthony de Padua, guys, the saint in which the river and city was named after. Saint Anthony, the man, the individual, was born towards the ends of the 11th century in the country of Portugal. That country gave us that 9-foot bronze saint. San Antonio is visited by millions of people, and most of our guests that come here will leave the city without ever realizing that they've been to a 300-year-old city, guys. San Antonio is 300 years old. It's the second oldest municipality in North America after St. Augustine, Florida. That explains why the Alamo is 36 years older than America. That explains why our police department, the Bear Gun Sheriff's Department, is 35 years older than America. San Antonio was made a city 58 years before the United States was made a country. That explains also why it's so easy to get lost up on street level, guys. These city streets here in San Antonio were built 58 years before the United States, 160 years before vehicles are invented. These city streets were designed for people on foot, on horseback, and horse-drawn carriages. They've been modified to have vehicles ride on them, but they were not intended for that. That explains why Siri can't pronounce half the streets out here. Google Maps will make you go around the same block 4 times before it tells you you've arrived. There's nothing wrong with your phone or phone service. GPS just don't work good out here. It doesn't work properly. We have 3 modern streets in downtown: Houston, Commerce, and Market. Everything else creates nation.
아버지 녹화 안 하고 계신데? 아버지 녹화 안 하고 계신다고. 눌러야죠.
To the left-hand side, we have the Hilton Palacio de RIO Hotel, the Hilton House of the River. We can find this hotel in the Guinness Books of World Records, the day the fastest hotel. Built at an amazing 202 working days by the company HB Sackers. The way they managed to get this hotel built so fast was by building the first 4 floors of it on site. At the same time, the 500 cubicle rooms were getting built 8 miles away, off of I-35 and Southwest Military Drive. The rooms were then brought in flatbed trailer trucks, fully furnished and stacked up on top of one another like Legos. You don't have to take my word for any of this. You can go to YouTube and watch the entire time-lapse video from start to finish of this hotel. The fastest building in America in 51 years. No one's built anything faster.
Estaba construido en piezas, todo con muebles y todo. Y construido como
What we're about to go through now is the Artisan River Theater. Even though you've never been here before, you might recognize the small stage if you've seen the movie Miss Congeniality with the beautiful and talented Sandra Bullock. This was the pageant scene of that movie. This is where she would play the wine glass.
Este lugar es muchas películas.
Coming over to the right-hand side, we have the Bristol Western Art Museum, a really good place to go to if you want to learn a little bit more about the evolution of the West, the whole cowboy experience. Briefly, I take it that by now a lot of us on board have taken notice of the trees that we've got out here. These are cypress trees. Take a look at this one here to the right. Oh, this one here is about 600 years old. It's not the oldest one out here. They're typically between 400, 5, 6, and 700 years old.
600 años.
This is a natural river that starts 3 miles north of downtown at the campus of the Incarnate Word University. The spring that feeds it is called the Blue Hole. It comes through the city and it goes 156 miles southeast, unites with the Guadalupe River, and they end up in the Gulf of Mexico, an area called the San Antonio Bay. I'm going to help some of our couples on board. If you've been procrastinating which area of the city would be an appropriate time to reach over and plant your significant other a kiss, this would be the one. We call this the Tunnel of Love. So close your eyes, close your eyes. That's right, just follow your heart, guys. You can move in for the kiss.
El lugar para besar.
The building coming over to the left-hand side is the Tower Life building, built by the Smith brothers who came here from New York City. They came here in the middle of the 1920s to build skyscrapers. They wanted 5. They would only complete 1. This one here to the left. I'll tell you what went wrong. For starters, they were very superstitious. That's why they built it in an octagon shape. Now, if you look up above, you're going to notice some stumps coming out of it. These are 900-pound cement gargoyles. When it rains, water comes shooting out of their mouths and empty the wells down below. They flood, and by having them, they keep that distance from it. Unfortunately, that didn't work. They completed the building in June of 1929. By October, the stock market would crash. By December, they were bankrupt. They left us with the tallest building west of the Mississippi.
Speed trap.
Yeah. Straight ahead, we have a red sandstone granite building with a green roof and beautiful steeple. It's often confused by many of our visitors that see it. They think it's a church. I suppose the steeple has that effect. That building is the complete opposite of a church. It's a courthouse. Whatever you do, don't go there and start confessing. Avoid doing that. That's not the building to confess in. Built in 1896 by Mr. James Riley Gordon. He would build 13 courthouses in Texas, 60 in
Y a veces yo
America.
trabajo en esta.
¿Así?
Sí, acá. Yo soy una oficial del corte. No,
take a look over to my left side, just up above it, you're going to notice that a lot of our couples that come here to San Antonio end up getting married. We have a very own Locks of Love. Couples get married out here all the time. They bring a lock, they lock it up, they hold the key, they kiss it, and together they put the key to the river. Looks so cute. But if you look carefully, there's also a lot of combination locks up there. Couples are still getting married. They're just bringing combination locks in case they don't work out. You can always come back to your lock. We see over 800 weddings sold in San Antonio. You can get married anywhere you want out here on the river.
En Francia, tantos candados
Sí.
que el puente se estaba cayendo.
Sí. Oh no. Y esta es San Fernando, Catedral, San Fernando, en donde mis abuelos se casaron. Se casaron.
To the right-hand side, up on second level, we have the Esquire Tavern. The Esquire opened up in 1933 as the longest bar in Texas. They could hold 6,000 beer bottles up on the counter. The Esquire, however, got started much earlier, but Prohibition prohibited anyone from selling alcohol. So they cleverly opened up as the Esquire Barbershop. Whenever the gentleman wanted to have a few drinks, all they simply said, "I'll be back, honey, I'm going to go get me a haircut." They'd disappear for 3 hours, come back home with the same haircut. They just had glossy eyes. They've been at the Esquire Barbershop. Prohibition was repealed in 1933. It was opened as the first commercial tavern in Texas. It's a little hot spot for actual proposals out here on the Riverwalk. Now, as soon as I pass this bridge, if I could have everyone look over to the left side, look straight up at the building, you will see an optical illusion of a single wall standing on its own to the left and above. I'm going to go really slow so that everyone can see this. straight ahead is the Hyatt Regency, built back in 1981. If you find yourselves in this part of the river and would like to go to the Alamo, the fastest way to get there from here is through the Hyatt. In less than 2 minutes, on the other side, you're at the Alamo, right through the Hyatt.
맞나? 응? 이거를
River Square, guys, where you'll find over 42 restaurants and shoe stores. The San Antonio River was built by the architect Robert H. Uncut in 1941. He used $433,000 to build the The first business to open on the river was Casa Rio Mexican Restaurant in 1946. It was a matter of months before the others would follow, and then another one and another one. Today we have about 42 restaurants.
아이고 알았어.
그런 거 봐야지.
내일 보잖아. 그때 뭐 찍는 거지.
San Antonio in 1968 hosted the World's Fair in this city. 7 million people attended the World's Fair of '68, the most visited World's Fair the country had seen. This man-made extension that we're back into was built in 1967 to connect the convention center to the actual river. This here is man-made, 4 feet deep, 20 feet wide, concrete block, 2 blocks long. It connects the convention center, Henry V. Gonzalez Convention Center. It's the 5th largest convention center in America today. The one here in San Antonio. Henry V. Gonzalez was the first Mexican-American elected to the House of Representatives under the Kennedy administration. He would remain in office from 1961 to 1999, one of the longest-running representatives of Texas in Washington. To the left-hand side, past the wall, past the trees, you're going to see that needle, or the steeple, I should say, to the left of above. It's the first German-speaking Catholic church built in the state of Texas after the Battle of the Alamo, St. Joseph. Every fourth Sunday of every month, they have a German choir. To the right-hand side, at the break of the trees, you're going to see that needle-like tower building. And 19 towers down the same American. 750 feet tall. Not the tallest, not the smallest. The tallest one is the Stratosphere in Las Vegas. The smallest one is the Space Needle in Seattle, Washington. The one in Dallas and New York, they're different structures. This His church up there, St. Joseph's Cathedral, built in 1868 by German immigrants who wanted to have a place they could work. To the left-hand side up above, you're going to notice a mosaic mural done by the artist Juan O'Gorman in 1968. He used over 400,000 1-inch by 1-inch natural rock. 12 colors make up the mural. 11 of those colors are natural rock. The color blue, not natural in nature. Complex of civilization, he would call the mural. Now, how many of us on board are visiting San Antonio for the very first time? First time visitors here? All right, welcome to San Antonio. Bienvenidos a la ciudad de San Antonio. Let me tell you a little bit about us, guys. The city of San Antonio today is the second largest city in Texas after Houston. We've now surpassed the population of Dallas with more than 200,000 people. We're the 7th largest city in America. It's been no secret, guys, for the past 20 years, San Antonio receives more people than Houston, Dallas, Corpus combined. Today, we receive about 39 million visitors from all over the world. One of the things that I find most interesting of everyone that comes here, the studies have shown that about 98% of our visitors will leave San Antonio without ever knowing the real name of the Alamo. The Alamo is just a nickname. Would anyone on board have any idea what the actual name of that mission is? Well, I'm glad you guys got on this boat right. I'm not going to let you leave San Antonio without knowing this. It is the 21st century. We should know, right? The real name of that mission, everyone, is Misión San Antonio de Valero. Valero is the real name of the Alamo, guys. It's always been. This is the reason why we have our little gasoline stations throughout the country, but mainly in Texas. When they got started in the mid-1850s, they were a Texas-owned oil refinery. They wanted to call themselves something very Texas. Well, they chose the appropriate name, Valero Energy. Now, why do you suppose we call it the Alamo? Even fewer people know this fact of history. We call it the Alamo simply because when the Spanish built the missions, all 5 of them, they built that one in the middle of a 40-acre cow pasture. There was no trees and no electricity at this time in history. The Spanish know that if they don't put any trees around it, they would bake in the summertime. They decide on the fast-growing shade tree called a cottonwood. Whenever the people of the city used to say, I'm going to go to the mission, they'd say, which one? There's 5 of them. They'd say, well, the one with the cottonwoods. But if you know history, you would also know that for 283 years, Texas was Mexico. So if it was being said in Spanish. I'm going to go to the mission. ¿Cuál de todas las misiones? Tenemos 5 misiones. Vamos a ir a la misión de los Álamos. Cottonwood tree in Spanish is called an Alamo. They dubbed it for the trees. When Mexico decided to invite Germans, Irish, Scottish, and Polish into Texas, Mexico at the turn of the 18th century through the federal Mexican program, Mexican land grant. They came here in big numbers. They spoke English. They would hear the natives refer to it as El Alamo. They would translate that simply to the Alamo. And that's how that famous nickname would get started in the population. Now, some of you are probably wondering, when did Mexico invite German, Irish, Scottish, and Polish out here? Well, for that, I need to take you back to American history. This is documented information, guys. When the United States was first made a country, it was only 13 British colonies. Not according to me. According to early British Americans, if you were not British, you are an immigrant. Second wave of people that came to the country were not British, they were German. British Americans didn't actually want them there. They would quadruple the cost of land to Germans without the options of financing. Well, guess what? Mexico gets word of this and they create a federal program to bring Germans into Texas, Mexico. Because Mexico had enough ranchers. They wanted farmers now. Germans that were coming to America were great farmers. So they're invited into Texas, Mexico. This is the reason why we have towns in Texas like Fredericksburg, New Braunfels, Kerrville, Bertie, Edinburgh, Selma, Schertz. That's the link between Texas and Germany. It's Mexico. They're inviting them here. They're granted 340 acres of land with no taxes until 7 years. They rushed out here, guys. There were such good farmers and residents of Mexico. Mexico would expand that welcome to the other Anglo immigrants, the Irish, the Scottish, and the Polish. Because we're not openly taught this in grade school, the majority of us have no idea that the defenders of the Alamo, in fact, died naturalized Mexican citizens. What we're taught in school is that they were from the Carolinas, Tennessee, Virginia, and in fact they were, but they were not British. That's why they were here. Travis, Bowie, Crockett were not British. So they came here through the Mexican land grant for land. We even heard it from Mitt Romney. We heard it when he was running for the presidency that his father and grandfather were born in Mexico. They're Scottish Mormon. When Mormons came to the country, early Americans were Protestant. They didn't want Mormons in the 13 colonies. Mexico didn't want them in central Mexico because Mexico was Catholic, so they sent them to northern Mexico. You might know it as Utah. The west is Mexico, the Midwest is French, America is simply 13 colonies to the northeast. That explains why Mitt Romney's father and grandfather were born in Mexico, because in fact it was that territory. And they spoke English. This is the reason why Texas has a very particular, unique sound in Texas country music. It's that melting pot of groups right here in Texas. That's why our food tastes different from the rest of the nation. And this is the reason why you find all these German, Irish, Scottish pubs on the Riverwalk. My neighbors, I come from a ranching family. My neighbors are German and Irish, 6 foot tall, blonde hair, blue eyes, and they speak Spanish. They're German, Irish, and Scottish. Are you guys understanding Texas a little better? There we go. Very good, guys. This is the way that happened here in Texas. You know how many times I've been to the mission and I've heard people say, is this it? Is this where that famous battle took place? This place is so small. Most people have no idea that mission was built 36 years before the United States was made a country. It's older than America, 36 years. It was built 170 years before heavy equipment is invented. If we compare that mission to our modern buildings, it's small. But if we compare it to the Indian teepees that were here by the Bayaya Indian covered in buffalo hide, that was a construction. We're just looking at it through different perspective of history, guys. Well, ladies and gentlemen, as soon as I go around the turn up ahead, we will be bringing the tour to its end. I'd like to thank all of you for riding with me this afternoon. Please look around your area. See to that you have all of your personal belongings with you. Remain seated until I've secured the boat. Go Real Cruises, the riverboat company I work for, has allowed me and every boat captain out here for a job well done and receiver children's tips. Propinas. In fact, they've given us a cute little acrylic chip jar to put them in. I'm going to set mine up here before I forget. Every bit helps. I've learned over the years, guys, that the success of this city has never been our history. It's always been all of you. So thank you very much for bringing that beautiful smile of yours to San Antonio, making this place look so beautiful. We would have never done it without you here this afternoon. Thank you very much. Muchas gracias a todos ustedes.
Come on, I'll go out there.